Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins are facing the start of the season with a double setback that few fans expected, and it has created a storm of questions around the team's readiness for opening day. Head coach Mike McDaniel confirmed this week that not only will rookie running back Jalen Wright be unavailable to kick off the year, but the team's longtime kicker, Jason Sanders, also won't suit up. For fans, it's a gut punch because Sanders has been such a consistent presence over the years, delivering game-winning field goals and reliable extra points. His absence changes the dynamics of the offense and special teams in ways casual viewers might underestimate. In today's NFL, where games are often decided by a field goal or less, not having your trusted kicker immediately puts extra pressure on both your quarterback and your offensive line to finish drives instead of relying on 3 points. McDaniel was careful in his words when addressing Sanders' injury, and that only fuels more speculation. The coach emphasized that surgery would not be required, which is a positive sign, but he also said that what Sanders needs more than anything is time. That vague description leaves fans wondering what kind of injury we're dealing with. Is it a muscle strain? A nagging issue in his leg? Something related to conditioning? The franchise has kept things under wraps, and while it's clear that this is not considered season-ending, the lack of details makes the uncertainty harder to digest. Dolphins fans remember past seasons where injuries were brushed aside only to resurface later as bigger problems. So naturally, the cautious tone is raising eyebrows. Everyone wants to believe that Sanders will bounce back quickly, but without a timetable, all the team and its supporters can do is wait, speculate, and hope. What complicates matters even further is the procedural decision the Dolphins will have to make in the coming days. McDaniel admitted it is still unclear whether Sanders will land on injured reserve, which would sideline him for the first 4 games of the season. That's not just a minor administrative decision. It shapes roster flexibility, impacts game planning, and alters the psychology of the locker room. If Sanders isn't placed on IR, the Dolphins have to use a precious roster spot on an injured player, which limits their options elsewhere. If he does go on IR, the team has to be absolutely confident they can survive a month without him. That balancing act is part of the chess game NFL teams play behind the scenes, and it's one reason why coaching isn't just about calling plays on Sundays. These choices ripple throughout the season, determining whether a squad can stay resilient in the face of unexpected setbacks. Sanders' absence was already felt in the Dolphins' final preseason game last week. Observers noticed immediately that he was nowhere near the kicking duties, leaving punter Jake Bailey to handle kickoffs instead. That's not an ideal situation by any stretch of the imagination. Bailey is a capable punter, but kicking field goals consistently in NFL conditions is a completely different skill set. The Dolphins even decided to go for 2-point conversions after both of their touchdowns, which was as much a statement as it was a necessity. The message was clear. Without Sanders, their special teams unit simply doesn't have a reliable option right now. That kind of preseason improvisation can be fun for fans in August, but once the regular season begins, those missing points can make the difference between sitting at 1-0 or 0-1. Miami knows this all too well from bitter experience. So now the Dolphins are left with one unavoidable reality. They need to bring in a kicker. Fortunately for them, there are some recognizable names currently available in free agency. Eddie Pinheiro, who most recently played for the Carolina Panthers, has proven he can hit from distance, though consistency has been his career challenge. Cade York, a young leg with upside, is also on the market, though his inexperience may not provide the stability Miami wants. Greg Zuerlein, known as Greg the Leg, brings a veteran presence and big game experience, but has battled his own streaks of inconsistency. Zane Gonzalez, meanwhile, offers another experienced option who has bounced around the league but can be steady in the right environment. None of these names carry the same trust factor Dolphins fans have in Sanders, but the front office must make a decision quickly to ensure Week 1 doesn't spiral into chaos. For Dolphins fans, the timing of this situation couldn't feel worse. The team enters the season with high expectations, armed with an explosive offense led by Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill, and defensive improvements designed to push them deeper into the playoffs. In a year where Miami is expected to make serious noise in the AFC East, Any early stumble could haunt them later in the standings. Remember, this is a division where every win matters, with the Bills, Jets, and Patriots all fighting for supremacy. Dropping games because you can't trust your kicker isn't acceptable at this level. It puts even more pressure on Tagovailoa and the offense to finish every drive in the end zone, a challenge that sounds exciting but isn't always realistic against NFL defenses. Fans know that without Sanders, the margin for error is razor thin, and that makes his recovery timeline crucial. The special teams unit as a whole also faces a critical adjustment period. A new kicker isn't just a plug-and-play solution. It requires chemistry with the holder and long snapper, timing on kicks, and confidence built through repetition. Fans often overlook how important that rhythm is, but one small hiccup in timing can mean a missed field goal or blocked kick. Sanders had years of working with his teammates, and that rapport cannot be replicated overnight. Whoever steps into his shoes will need to build trust immediately, and the Dolphins coaching staff must decide how much risk they're willing to take. Do they prioritize raw leg strength, banking on 55-yard field goals, or do they lean toward reliability from inside 40 yards? These are tough decisions, and they will play a pivotal role in how this team manages close games during the early stretch of the season. Coach McDaniel, known for his candid yet optimistic style, tried to keep spirits up when discussing the issue. He emphasized that Sanders doesn't require surgery and remains a key piece of the roster moving forward. That reassurance is important because without it, rumors would spread like wildfire among fans and media. Still, his insistence that time is what Sanders needs suggests this won't be an overnight recovery. It could be weeks, or it could stretch longer, depending on how the injury responds. McDaniel has built a reputation as a player-friendly coach who balances honesty with protection of his athletes. But even he can't control the frustration of fans who expected stability in the kicking game. His task now is to keep the locker room confident, to ensure no one dwells on what's missing and instead focuses on executing with whoever takes the field. In the broader context of the NFL, the Dolphins' situation highlights just how fragile roster construction can be. Teams spend months fine-tuning every position, analyzing depth charts, and crafting strategies, only to have unforeseen injuries disrupt everything in an instant. For Miami, losing Wright at running back and Sanders at kicker in the same stretch magnifies the difficulty of staying competitive early in the year. Both losses impact different sides of the game. One affects the offense's balance, the other influences special teams' efficiency, but together, they present a major challenge. Opponents will undoubtedly adjust their game plans knowing the Dolphins are vulnerable in those areas. In a league where scouting reports are dissected to the smallest detail, even the hint of weakness can be exploited. Miami's response, both in roster moves and in on-field execution, will determine whether this becomes a temporary blip or a lasting storyline. Ultimately, the Dolphins find themselves in a classic NFL test: adapt quickly or pay the price. The absence of Jason Sanders is more than just losing a kicker. It's losing a reliable weapon, a player who has delivered in countless high-pressure moments. Until he returns, Miami must rely on a replacement and hope their offense can shoulder the extra load. Fans will be watching closely, not only to see who the team signs, but also how that decision plays out under real game pressure. Every missed kick will feel amplified. Every successful one will bring relief. Sanders' shadow will loom over each attempt, and the comparisons will be inevitable. For now, all Dolphins Nation can do is brace for a rocky start, trust in McDaniel's leadership, and hope that by mid-season, their special teams anchor is back where he belongs, lining up field goals with the game on the line. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world is in absolute shock as the rumor mill explodes over one of the most seismic defensive shifts in recent memory. Sources suggest that All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner, the cornerstone of the Jets' secondary, has reportedly decided to leave New York, sending waves through locker rooms, front offices, and fan bases alike. The whispers began quietly, almost innocuously, with a few anonymous tips hinting at dissatisfaction over contract negotiations and visions of championship contention, but quickly escalated into a full-blown frenzy as insiders hinted at the Miami Dolphins emerging as the leading suitors. While nothing is confirmed officially, the speculation has already sparked debates across social media platforms, podcasts, and sports networks, with pundits dissecting the implications of losing a player of Gardner's caliber. Every cornerback acquisition affects more than just stats. It reshapes schemes, draft strategies, and rivalries. And this particular potential move has every franchise paying close attention to every cryptic tweet and report, fueling a wildfire of anticipation and anxiety that refuses to die down, as if the NFL universe itself is holding its breath, waiting for the next official confirmation to either calm or inflame this explosive rumor. The Miami Dolphins, long admired for their strategic maneuvering and aggressive approach to free agency, are rumored to have jumped into the fray with astonishing swiftness, reportedly opening discussions with Gardner's camp immediately after news of his apparent discontent with the Jets surfaced. The speculation centers not only on the potential signing, but also on the strategic implications of adding an all-pro cornerback to an already formidable defensive lineup, which could elevate Miami from a consistently competitive team to a legitimate championship contender almost overnight. Insiders suggest that the Dolphins' front office is keenly aware of the ripple effect a player like Gardner can create, not just on the field, but in terms of team morale, media attention, and marketability. Fans have begun to speculate feverishly, imagining Gardner lining up against elite receivers week after week, potentially shutting down passing attacks and forcing rival offenses into uncomfortable, predictable situations. If this deal materializes, it could redefine the AFC East landscape entirely, disrupting long-standing hierarchies, intensifying rivalries, and sending New York Jets supporters into a mix of shock, frustration, and disbelief as everyone waits with bated breath to see whether this speculative hurricane will solidify into reality. Among the reasons fueling this rumor are the supposed tensions surrounding contract negotiations, with multiple insiders hinting that Gardner was seeking terms reflective of his elite status, including guaranteed money, long-term security, and performance incentives, which may have collided with the Jets' fiscal priorities and organizational philosophy. While both sides have remained publicly tight-lipped, sources whisper that behind-the-scenes discussions have been intense, marked by bursts of optimism, frustration, and even impromptu meetings, as the players' representatives push for a deal commensurate with his all-pro recognition and the Jets scramble to maintain roster flexibility. Fans, analysts, and rival executives alike are dissecting every possible implication of this standoff, speculating on the domino effect such a departure would have on New York's defensive schemes, draft strategy, and locker room culture. Adding to the speculation, some insiders hint at subtle signals, such as cryptic social media activity, unexpected public statements, and reported private conversations that suggest Gardner may have been weighing his options carefully, potentially eyeing Miami not just as a landing spot, but as a place where his talent would be maximized and celebrated, injecting fresh urgency into an already feverish rumor cycle that refuses to cool down despite the absence of official confirmation. The Dolphins' rumored pursuit of Gardner appears to align perfectly with their long-term vision of constructing a dominant, versatile defense capable of neutralizing the league's most explosive offenses. Analysts suggest that Miami's secondary, already a formidable unit, could become historically intimidating with the addition of an all-pro cornerback like Gardner, whose combination of size, speed, and instincts allows him to shadow elite receivers, disrupt passing lanes, and create turnover opportunities almost at will. The rumor mill emphasizes the potential matchup nightmares for opposing quarterbacks and offensive coordinators, painting vivid scenarios of Gardner blanketing top-tier targets, forcing quick decisions, and fundamentally altering game plans. This speculative acquisition, if realized, could elevate the Dolphins' defense to a level rarely seen in the modern NFL, combining technical mastery with physical dominance in a way that could translate into not only wins, but also psychological advantages over division rivals. Every detail of these reports, length of contract, guaranteed money, performance incentives, fuels further discussion, with the rumors shaping not only immediate speculation, but also long-term projections about Miami's potential to compete deep into the postseason, positioning them as a team capable of redefining expectations for defensive excellence, while simultaneously rattling the confidence of every other team in the AFC East. Amid the growing frenzy, social media platforms have become both battlegrounds and amplifiers, with fans dissecting potential scenarios, posting highlight reels, and debating the possible ramifications for both the Jets and Dolphins. Speculation has reached a fever pitch, with trending hashtags reflecting both excitement and disbelief, as users analyze every angle of the potential deal: contract length, salary cap impact, positional fit, and even the psychological effect on teammates and coaching staffs. Podcasts and YouTube channels have jumped on the rumor, offering detailed breakdowns of how Gardner's presence could alter defensive schemes, create new blitz packages, and enhance coverage flexibility. Some insiders suggest that the rumor has already influenced trade discussions and draft strategies across the league, with other franchises reevaluating cornerback depth, defensive coordinators reconsidering game plans, and front offices anticipating shifts in power dynamics. The cumulative effect is a relentless cycle of speculation, analysis, and counter-analysis, where every leaked tidbit, whether accurate or exaggerated, feeds into a swirling maelstrom of anticipation, fear, and intrigue, leaving fans, analysts, and players alike in a suspended state of rumor-fueled suspense, eager for the next cryptic report to either ignite or dampen the fevered speculation surrounding one of football's most tantalizing potential moves. Beyond the immediate impact on the field, rumors surrounding Gardner's potential move have sparked conversations about culture, leadership, and the intangible qualities that a player of his caliber brings to a locker room. Sources whisper that Gardner is not only an elite athlete, but also a vocal presence, capable of influencing morale, setting professional standards, and mentoring younger players. This aspect of the rumor has generated discussion about how his arrival in Miami could shift team dynamics, enhance cohesion, and elevate the overall performance of the roster, while simultaneously leaving a void in New York where his leadership and on-field dominance are sorely felt. Analysts speculate that his departure could trigger cascading changes, forcing the Jets to rethink defensive strategies, elevate emerging talents, and perhaps accelerate draft plans. Meanwhile, the Dolphins could gain not only an all-pro cornerback, but also a cultural catalyst, someone whose presence signals ambition, confidence, and a commitment to excellence. These whispered details have turned the rumor into more than a personnel story. It is now a narrative about identity, leadership, and the subtle forces that shape championship-caliber organizations, with every insider tidbit intensifying the anticipation and speculation surrounding the potential deal. Adding a layer of intrigue, insiders hint that the timing of these discussions may not be coincidental, suggesting that both the Jets and Dolphins are maneuvering strategically in anticipation of broader league-wide movements. Sources indicate that Miami may be leveraging Gardner's availability to send a signal to the rest of the AFC East, asserting their intent to dominate the division and disrupt established hierarchies. Meanwhile, whispers suggest that New York may be testing its own negotiating leverage, gauging market interest, and evaluating the cost of retaining a player whose talent is undeniable but whose demands challenge the team's long-term financial flexibility. This interplay of strategy, negotiation, and speculation has created an environment where every cryptic comment, every agent meeting, and every insider leak is magnified, dissected, and debated, contributing to a narrative that is as much about power dynamics and signaling as it is about football talent. Fans and analysts alike are watching intently, interpreting subtle cues and reading between lines, as the rumor refuses to remain contained and grows into an all-encompassing conversation about the balance of talent, ambition, and strategy in the modern NFL landscape. Even casual observers have been swept up in the swirling storm of speculation, with highlight reels of Gardner's all-pro performances circulating widely, sparking admiration and debate over his potential fit in Miami's defensive system. Analysts are breaking down coverage mechanics, comparing Gardner's style to Miami's existing personnel, and projecting scenarios where his skill set could neutralize the league's most feared receiving threats. The rumor has transcended traditional sports media, becoming a topic of conversation across online communities, bars, and social media, where fans exchange predictions, mock press conferences, and imagine highlight reels that showcase Gardner's potential dominance in Dolphins colors. This frenzy has created a feedback loop, where speculation drives content, content amplifies speculation, and the cycle accelerates with each leaked report, anonymous tip, or analyst theory. The persistent chatter emphasizes the perceived magnitude of the rumored move, framing it not merely as a signing, but as a potential turning point for the Dolphins, a narrative that blends excitement, tension, and anticipation in a way rarely seen outside of championship-defining trades or signings, keeping the football world collectively on edge. Rumors also suggest that the potential acquisition could influence other free agent movements, with teams reconsidering cornerback depth, reevaluating defensive priorities, and even adjusting draft strategies in anticipation of a shifted talent landscape. Analysts propose that a single move of this magnitude could trigger a chain reaction, where multiple franchises alter their personnel decisions, adjust salary cap allocations, and explore trades or signings they might otherwise have deferred. The speculation frames Gardner's rumored move not just as a personal decision, but as a catalyst capable of reshaping broader competitive dynamics across the league. Every detail, from cap implications to positional matchups, is scrutinized, producing endless content and debate. Fans dissect game film, analysts crunch hypothetical stats, and insiders leak carefully chosen details to further inflame speculation. The cumulative effect is a layered narrative of strategic intrigue, player movement, and speculative excitement, all revolving around a single player whose potential departure and subsequent signing could rewrite the storylines of multiple teams, making this rumor one of the most captivating ongoing sagas in modern NFL history. Even as the rumor continues to swirl, insiders indicate that Gardner's potential fit with the Dolphins could have immediate and long-term ramifications, affecting coaching strategies, defensive alignments, and the psychological makeup of the team. Analysts speculate that his presence could allow Miami to implement more aggressive coverage schemes, execute complex zone blitz packages, and take calculated risks that were previously constrained by personnel limitations. The rumor hints at matchups where Gardner could dominate, create turnovers, and shift momentum in crucial games, altering the calculus of the entire AFC East. Meanwhile, the Jets are rumored to be evaluating their defensive backfield, considering potential replacements, draft options, and internal adjustments to compensate for the possible loss of a franchise-altering talent. Social media discussions speculate endlessly about game day scenarios, with highlight reels, statistical projections, and tactical breakdowns fueling further anticipation. This rumor, therefore, has evolved from a simple player movement story into a multifaceted discussion encompassing strategy, psychology, competition, and league-wide implications, with every whispered report intensifying the collective suspense and fascination surrounding Gardner's future and its potential impact on both Miami and New York. As the rumor reaches a fever pitch, insiders continue to suggest that the Dolphins' aggressive interest is motivated not only by Gardner's elite talent, but also by the symbolic power of signing a player of his stature. Analysts argue that adding an all-pro cornerback sends a statement about ambition, resources, and the willingness to invest in winning immediately, signaling to competitors, fans, and the media that Miami intends to dominate the division and challenge for the league's top prize. Speculation abounds regarding financial terms, contract length, incentives, and guarantees, each leak intensifying discussion, debate, and fan anticipation. Meanwhile, the Jets are reportedly weighing multiple strategies, from counteroffers to potential trades, to retain or replace Gardner without compromising long-term plans. Every media cycle, podcast episode, and social media discussion feeds into the rumor, creating a self-perpetuating storm of analysis, imagination, and excitement. Fans, analysts, and insiders are locked in a collective suspense, watching, waiting, and debating as if the next leaked tidbit could completely redefine the narrative, with each whisper further fueling the frenzy over what may be the most significant defensive move of the season. Finally, the collective buzz surrounding Sauce Gardner's rumored departure and Miami Dolphins acquisition has reached a level where reality and speculation blur, creating a theater of anticipation unlike anything the NFL has seen in recent years. Every potential scenario, whether a blockbuster signing, a strategic draft shift, or a locker room ripple effect, is being dissected, imagined, and debated with fervor, transforming this rumor into a cultural phenomenon within football circles. Analysts, fans, and insiders are constantly scanning for confirmation, reaction, or contradiction, each whisper igniting another wave of speculation. The implications span not only gameplay but also culture, psychology, and league-wide competition, making Gardner's possible move emblematic of broader shifts in the NFL's landscape. Whether this rumor materializes into reality or remains an echo of speculation, the narrative it has generated underscores the power of a single player to dominate conversation, reshape expectations, and fuel relentless intrigue, leaving every stakeholder, from coaches and executives to fans and media, immersed in a suspenseful, rumor-driven saga that continues to evolve with every passing hour. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.